Okay, do we have it? Can you guys, somebody give me a thumbs up if you can see me? Oh, do I have to redo this thing again? Oh, let me see here. Can you guys see me? Can you hear me? Working. All right. Here we go. We made it. Yes. Sorry, guys. I had to reboot this thing. They were trying to force him. I was just ready to go with it, and then they tried forcing an upgrade, the Windows like 75, whatever the hell it is, and so it squashed the camera feed. Uh, no Kiwi tonight. We don't have Kiwi tonight. Kiwi had an emergency dance class. I don't know if you guys know this or not. Kiwi has a man of many, many talents, and he's a very highly paid professional interpretive dancer, and current world events. But what can I tell you? He was called into action, so he's out there practicing right now, and with any luck, World War III will get averted. Um, yes. So who do we got here? Todd Lara, Bobby Drum, Frank Emerald. New names, new names. I haven't seen you guys. Joe K, what's happening? Coda, what's happening? Chris Freemaster, what's happening? Stray Bullet Punisher, Anthony Prana, Chongo. I love your name, bro. Uncle Vandis. Zero, what's happening, brother man? Jake B doing stuff. That's a good channel name. Kiwis Classics and Customs. Don't make you laugh, it hurts. Are you finished with the dancing, with the interpretive dancing? Because I'll wait for you, man. We'll wait for you. Um, Kiwi's an amazing dancer. Like I said, a very highly paid professional. A okay, Kiwi is a government level interpretive dancer. All right, now that's okay. You see what I'm saying? Um, let's see. But no, he'll be back eventually at some point. You know what I mean? When the government is done with him. I'm not even sure which government it is. It could be that raft that he comes from or us. I don't even know. Nathan McCree, Tony, when are you going to take out Bottle Rocket? So Saturday, I got a dog sitter. Everything's ready to go. So Saturday, we're taking Slaghammer to Etheridge, US 43 Dragway out here in Lawrenceburg. And then 2 weeks from then, we're going to take Bottle Rocket back out. So with any luck, hopefully the weather turns, the weather's good, the dogs see to show up, everything's all, but the cars are just sitting here ready to go. Both cars are just sitting here ready to go. Let's see. Punisher 506. What happening with the electric kid who challenged? They punked. He never even acknowledged it, as I would have expected, right? But I'm not done. I'm not done with these electric people. Not by a long shot. Not by a long shot. Because I've okay, like I opened Pandora's box to a bunch of like wide-eyed like idiots. So I'm not done. I'm not done. I'm going after the electric people. I'm going after them hardcore. Somebody's got to speak up for the internal combustion engine, right? Let's see. Raymond, Tony, enjoyed your daily classic car recommendations. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I was not happy with that video. I swear to God, I had to do that video a few times, and I wasn't happy with it. I'm still not happy with it. I wish I had done. I wish I had included. There's a lot of things I kind of left out because you know what happens? You start making a video like that, and the clock is running while you're making a video. So you got to understand, like, you can only go so far before like views really drop off. So you want to max it out right about 20 minutes or so. So as I'm filming a video like that, I'm always watching the clock. So like I'm halfway through a thought and I'm looking at the clock and the clock is ticking and it's like, oh, 9 minutes. Oh, I better hurry up and get to the next thing. Oh, 14 minutes. Oh, I better hurry up and get to the next thing. And then once it's like 20 minutes, it's like, oh, okay, wrap this thing up. Start wrapping it up because you can't really go very much further than that. Because what happens is it creates view duration falls off drastically after about 20 minutes, and that creates a problem with the YouTube algorithms. So you want to max them out like 22, 23 minutes, and you go past that, and then it has to go to an hour. Okay, it's like you can do a 20, 25-minute video and you're good there, or you do an hour. And so that's, it's what it is. That's the way these videos are structured. It's the way that the algorithm has us jumping through hoops. Um, okay. Let's see. Luciano Battellini, nice Irish name. 73 Corvette with a 350 small block. Do you think I could drive it from PA to South Dakota? Anything I have to watch out for? Bro, you could just spend the rest of your life driving that car from PA to South Dakota. You know what I mean? Keep an eye on the oil, keep an eye on the antifreeze and leaks and stuff like that. Yeah, you won't have any problem at all. And the 73 Corvette is a low compression engine. It'll run just fine on 87, E10, right? Drive it and enjoy it, bro. Um, let's see. Raymond Hammond, what's your suggestion on getting cam bearing number 4 stuck camshaft on a? So you're saying that it turned the cam bearing, the number 4 cam bearing, you can't get the cam out because it's stuck. There's a good chance that block is not going to be usable. You need to just take that to a machine shop. Just take it. You need educated eyes to look at it. I can make suggestions from now till the end of time, and they're not going to do any good. You need educated eyes to physically look at what you've got there. Zero classic car truck or recycling 101. Absolutely, bro. That's one of the videos I'm going to do. Keep running them and giving them transportation. So Zero. I've got this video stuck in my head for the green idiots, right? The green idiots about what really is solar power. Okay, what really is like if you really wanted to make things clean and like seal like I've got this whole video in my head that I have to get out, but I've got to do some regular car stuff first. Remy Kushner, just finished putting a 340 intake and thermal quad on my Dart 318. Had to have the dizzy out to do so. It starts and runs rough, then backfires and dies. Why did you have to? You didn't have to take the distributor out on a small block Mopar to change it, but to change the intake manifold, you have to do it with a Chevy. You don't have to do that with a Mopar. Starts and runs rough, then backfires and dies. Advance the timing. Obviously, check the firing order 18436 Make sure the firing order is right. And if that's not the case, so if you were 180 out when you dropped the distributor and you were 180 out, it wouldn't run at all. It would just kick and fart and everything else. So you've got the distributor in the right place. It's probably just retarded. So try advancing it and see what happens. Adolf Brownstein. Good evening. I have a 3D3 stroker set initial before top dead center. Haven't set up total just yet, but it's idling, and when I give it throttle, it kind of bogs down. Any suggestions? Keep advancing it until it runs smooth. Just keep advancing it until you get it right, then throw a timing line on it, and then set it for total. Dr. Art's Hot Rod Rehab. What's happening, brother, man? JB Weld cart still running strong after valve replacement. Nice. So there you go. JB Weld holding up in that go-kart motor. Let's see. Okay, Josh H. Not tech, but anyone else see Scotty also talked about the parking garage fire. He said it was electric. Can't argue when UTG and Scotty are on the same page. I like Scotty. Scotty was a big friend to this channel. A couple of years ago, we did that Hemi lifter failure thing, and he threw us a plug. We picked up like 50,000 subs off of his recommendation. I owe Scotty, but that's besides the point. Okay, so just to clarify, the registration on that Range Rover comes back as a diesel. Okay, there is no classification for hybrid, for what they call a mild hybrid. So you've got hybrid, you've got gasoline, you've got electric. The Range Rover is what they call a mild hybrid. All right, this isn't my words. This is Range Rover's words. It's defined as a mild hybrid, and that has no classification. it'll come up as the primary source of fuel. In that case, diesel. Let's see, Rob Morris. I crushed some old Plymouth with a big engine. Weird damn thing has 3 small carbs, 2 barrels. Yeah, the carburetors are so small. It just crushed that stuff. Brandon J. Tony, ever run a set of ductile iron rockers on a big Chrysler? Yes. How reliable can they be with a decent solid cam? Yeah, I run them at 650 lift on a street engine, and they run forever and ever and ever. I have a set of those Isky ductile iron rockers on my 68 Roadrunner back at the house, and that's a 560 lift cam. I don't even remember. It's a roller, 560, 570 lift cam, and no, those things are awesome. Those rockers are forever. Joe K. Tony, have you ever dealt with a fuel pump on an EFI car that was underpowered electrically? Might be having this issue. They sell a hot wire kit, but I want to diagnose further before buying that. Well, find out what it's supposed to get. I believe that most of them get a full 12 volts. Check it. I mean, you could have a bad ground that'll drop. You know what I mean? Yes, I have come across insufficient voltage or intermittent voltage to electric fuel pumps over the years. Let's see. Al Kooks. Block has 7,000 piston to bore clearance at the top. Block has 3,000 piston to bore clearance at the bottom. You've got 4,000 taper. Look for 94 millimeter pistons. Old pistons just under 90. Oh, that's 4,000 is a good bit of taper. I got to tell you. Where is Uncle Kathy? She's at the house doing border collie and t-shirt things. KJ Kylie, I got your package today. We're gonna show it on Sunday night, bro. That is the coolest thing. That is the coolest thing. Thank you so much. We're gonna show that on Sunday night. But your question, Tony, do you have any experience with Emmy Wagner 2-stage adjustable PCV valve? I do not. But thank you again, KJ. Thank you. Eric Wilson, something tells me Tony's an early riser. Why do you say that? I mean, I try to beat the sun. You know, if I wake up and I see the sun, it's like, okay, this is a lazy day. Tavo, what's happening, brother, man? Tony, clarification on the floor pan comment from Sunday night. 67 US pin will fit into an Aussie car. Whoops. But ours is a different shape for the seat and seat belt mounts to meet Aussie. Okay, that makes sense. I thought the question was whether a 66 pan will fit in a 67 car or vice versa, because you can't fit a 66 into a 67. But I wasn't aware of the Aussie thing. Okay, Regis Philbin's scrotum. What's happening, man? Thank you for the super chat. 88 Diplomat for refresh, turning into cam. Oh, your refresh is turning into cam, heads, headers, etc. Are the stock rockers up to the task of a 515 lift under 6,000 RPM? Also, where are the 318 specific head gaskets? No 391 anywhere. No, there are no 318 specific head gaskets. They're all at the 4100 size. We'll go back to this, right? Are the stock rockers up to the task of a 515 lift? Yes, you won't have any problems. And I assume you have valve springs that they're in that ballpark, so you're not really stressing the thing. Yeah, you'll be fine. The stock rockers under $6,000 at 515 lift. Let's see. Also, where are the 318 specific head gaskets? So, all of the aftermarket head gaskets are now. You can custom order head gaskets to any size opening you want. You got to pay for them, right? But all of your over-the-counter small block Mopar head gaskets are at the 4100 size. 4100 is a 340, which is the largest bore of all of the small blocks at 4-inch plus 40, plus 60 because those blocks are intended to go a maximum of 60 over. So the gasket makers, Felpro and the other ones, make the gaskets to the largest size bore available in that block, which would be 4100. So that's the size that you're dealing with there. And you won't have any problems. Just send it. Just send it. Um, Gary Jubar, my 1987 Dodge D150 two-wheel drive with a 10-bolt rear. Okay, so that's not a 10-bolt rear. It's an 8 1/4. Shutter's very bad on corners. Not so bad on straights. Chuck has 187,000 miles. Feels like two flat tires on the back. You have a short grip unit that's on its way out. So first thing you want to try, okay, is go to any auto parts store. Get the sure grip, not the sure grip, the GM Posit Traction additive that you put in gear loop, because what that's specific. It's a little bottle. It's actually fish oil. It's related to WD-40, but don't use WD-40. Um, it's get the it's Posit Traction additive. Small bottle of it. Get that, throw it in, and drive it about, I don't know, 50 miles or so, and see if that doesn't fix your problem. If that doesn't fix it, then the actual sure grip unit itself is bad. Change it. Okay. Let's see. Shoehorn Jackson. Tony, do you know anything about the Ital Mechanica supercharger made in Italy? I don't. I've heard of it, but I don't. I don't. I don't know anything about it. Um, Mike Brunello, Tony, I have a 71 Z28 350. Just rebuilt it, stock with performer intake and 535 Motorcraft 4 barrel. Okay. Oh, five, all right. Runs great, but doesn't have much power. Runs more like a 305. Um, oh God, there's so many aspects to that. You won't. Okay, it's a small carburetor, but you won't notice that until you go like to the higher RPM. And I'm assuming that you're talking about it's accelerating at lower speeds, like excuse me, like a 305. Um, have you tried bumping the timing on it? That I see it, Mike. There's just not enough information there. You know what I mean? There's not enough information there. Have you tried bumping the timing on it? I don't know. And is that a vacuum secondary carburetor? Because you will notice a difference between, let's say, if you had a quadrijet on there, which is a mechanical secondary with an air valve, a secondary air valve, versus a vacuum secondary carb, you will notice a little bit of a lag, right? Between the two. Um, I don't know, bro. I don't know. Uh, Mike N, are you still planning on doing a video on different types of brake line flaring? How do you do it? Yes, Kiwi is going to do that. Kiwi is going to do that. Let's see. Here comes my Corvair runs like a danged Corvair. What's wrong? I don't know, bro. That's a problem. Sergeant Mustang, hey Tony, have you ever looked into obtaining gasoline synthesized from captured atmospheric gasoline in your channel? It's carbon neutral, I think, to keep the icy around in a cleaner future. This place stinks like gas in the worst way right now. Let's see, Jeffrey. Hi Tony. With reference to your video yesterday, just curious about a big C-body fan. Being a big C-body fan, what are your thoughts on a clean '78 New Yorker as a daily? Oh, those cars are great. Those cars are great. I had a customer. He was a reverend. I can't remember his name now. Right, old black guy. This is back in New York, and he had a '78 New Yorker. It was his thing. And I used to, anytime he'd bring that car in for any type of service, that was what we took for lunch. That was such an awesome car. I love that thing. It was white with the red interior, and you know if you could feed it, right? Because it'll run on regular gas, right? But you're talking about an 11 mile per gallon car. So if you can keep it fed, yeah, it would be a good daily driver. Oh, geez, it's Dead Dodge Garage, the Dead Dodge Garage. If you guys have, listen, catching you on company time, putting together a factory numbers matching 440 for a Daytona today. That sounds like fun. Dead Dodge Garage. If you guys aren't familiar with Dead Dodge Garage, Go over there and check out. If you're a Mopar person, right? Go over there and check out his channel. He does more Mopar content than I do, right? He does more. He does more detailed Mopar content than I do. So yeah, absolutely go over there and check him out. Give him a sub and watch all of his videos. Support this guy. He's freaking great. Um, let's see. Garage 54 made something like gas from distilling burning tires. Yeah, there's all sorts of different ways to do it. I wanted to run an engine on mozzarella because I wanted to keep heating mozzarella until it became like an oil, and then run it through a diesel motor. And I may still do that, but you know. And Zero just put up the link to Dead Dodge Garage, so go over there. Chris Freemesser sub to Dead Dodge Garage recently. Best thing I ever did. Right? I'm telling you, I love that guy. He's awesome. And so he's surrounded by cool people. Surrounded by cool people. Barry Cuda, are the 7 1/4 diffs as weak as people say? I've been hard on them in the past with no problem. Okay. The 7 1/4, the weak link on the 7 1/4 at moderate horsepower levels are the spider gears. Now, a 7 1/4 short grip, which is kind of rare, right? You can find them in a lot of northern cars. Like you got to go into like snow and mountain country, and you'll start to come across 7 1/4 short grip units. Um, the short grip takes up the for the weakness of the spider gears. That that a short grip unit will get you to where a 7 1/4 will be reliable and around the 275 300 horsepower level, which is like a healthy small block with an automatic. Okay. Beyond that, then you start to run into issues with the axles. The axles are undersized. So what like 350 horsepower stuck to the track, even with a short grip unit, yeah, no good, right? But for a daily driver type of car, like for instance, my Swinger, I've got a 7 1/4 with a short grip on the Swinger, and that's about a 275 horsepower, 260, 275 horsepower thing, 3,300 pound car, and I could hammer on that thing all day long, and it'll never break that rear. So it just depends. It just depends with the 7 1/4. Um, uh, Kevin Peter, do you have any idea how to remove the stainless trim from around the convertible top on a 67 Cadillac DeVille? I appreciate your channel very much. I appreciate you appreciating our channel, and I appreciate your 67 DeVille. That is a beautiful car. Like, really beautiful car. That's the statuesque Cadillac, right? That's the car that Frank Sinatra pulled up to the hotel in Las Vegas in. You know what I'm saying? That's a bad car. But I have no clue how you would go about taking the stainless trim from around the convertible top. But I mean, maybe somebody here does, but it's not me. But that's a beautiful car, bro. That's a beautiful car. Um, let's see. This is going. Let's see. Backyard garage. Hey Tony, I have a small block Chevy 350 that spun the 3 center mains. Would you recommend replacing the caps or just line bore? Did they turn color? And how hard are you going to use this engine? So if it's a driver, okay, like in other words, it's not a race car, and it's just like it's your transportation and that type of stuff, then I think you're fine with just a line bore. If they turned color at all, right? If the cap's turned, if you see any blue in the cap, actually even just dark, but especially if you see any blue in the cap on the surface of the cap, and it's a high performance motor, where it's going to see some RPM, it's going to see some load, then new caps and line board. And check the saddles, Zero saying 7 1/4 behind my 318 904 daily for 11 years now. Yeah. Dead Dodge Garage is saying personal 7 1/4 experience, no short grip, tiny tires, really healthy 360, one leg burnouts everywhere. You lived that way for years and never broke. Just don't try to get traction. Yeah, yeah. Um, let's see. I'm not just blowing smoke up Dead Dodge Garage's ass with, by throwing them a plug like that. I watch because I never watched YouTube, right, before I started doing YouTube, and even I did YouTube for a while, right, and I avoid watching other YouTube channels because I didn't want to, you know what I mean. I wanted to stay on my mission. Okay, but lately, let's say over the last year or so, I've been watching a lot of YouTube channels, and honestly, most of them are shit. Okay, they take a topic, they drag it out. It's just, you know what I mean? It's light. You can see they're stretching. You can see that they're at the end of their wits trying to create, this content. Okay, but you watch somebody like Jamie's channel, or Dead Dodge Garage, and it's the exact opposite. He's competent. There's no filler in his videos. And then when there is filler, it's fun filler. Okay, like, you know what I mean? It's a quality. See, there's so few quality. When I say, I mean real quality, like no stretch, competent people, YouTube channels out there. There's so few that when one comes along like that I see it, it's like, well, this is just brilliance. You know what I mean? So I'm not just throwing them a plug to say, oh, great. No, I'm being very sincere. The guy's a fantastic YouTuber. I mean, all right, enough of that. Uh, let's see. Anthony Perna, Tony, I just put a new Holly carb for the first time in my life. The gold looks so good. I'm trying to keep her from looking like the old ones. Can I clear coat it? The clear isn't going to live for long under there. I know what you're saying. I know the stuff is new. It looks like a freaking jewel, right? Um, No, clear coat will not last in that underhood environment, and especially like because even if it's not leaking gas, it's still surrounded by the vapors. Okay, and that's what tarnishes carburetors. That's why they start to turn that color. So that's going to attack the clear. It won't last. Just keep it clean. Spray it down with like WD or PB Blaster every once in a while. You know what I mean? And give it a nice wipe. And it'll last. It'll last for a while if you take care of it. Um, let's see. Let's see. Sidewinder Shed. Has anyone encountered a situation where you had a block board 30, 40 over and the board was not true? Yes. Yes, many times. That's why you really you want your machine shop. You want to make okay when you walk into a machine shop, look around. If you don't see, you want to make sure that you don't see like beer cans and stuff, right? You think I'm joking, okay? I'm walking to a machine shop. I want, I see anything that like shows me that these guys are like, eek, 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 right? I run and hide. But yes, that's so common. It's not funny. And I've seen so many blocks destroyed like that because the machine wasn't set up right. It dug in on an angle, and no, yeah, that's why you want to use a reputable machine shop, somebody is competent, that actually understands the craft, and they're not just going through the motions. Um, let's see. Cordell, you would like Bondo Billy channel, could help improve your body work. But I have friends who do fantastic body work. I don't have to watch somebody else's channel. I can go hang out at Kiwis, right? The difference is I don't have the eye for it. You know what I'm saying? It's just doing body work. Doing body work is the same as like doing art. Okay, like let's say drawing a picture. I could watch somebody draw 1,000. Like who's that guy with the happy little trees? You know, I could watch the happy little tree guy every day my whole life, and I still won't have that connection between my eye and my hand to make the happy little trees the way he does. And it's the same exact thing with body and paint. Either you have that thing or you don't, and I don't. You know what I mean? I don't make any bones about it. But I'm cool with it because I can always do it again. That's my excuse for everything, right? I can always do it again. I'll use cheap materials. I'll bang it out real quick and say, well, I can always do it again. So far I've painted like 4 cars, and each one of them is like, I can always do that again, and I'm happy with that. I'm cool with that. Um, Sidewinder Shed. Thanks, Tony. I just encountered that. Born not true, and I just couldn't believe that happened, bro. It happens. It happens more times than you know. It happens more times than you know, and that's why I tell you, if you're ever doing any like okay, so if you're doing a garden variety 302 Ford or 318 Mopar or 350 Chevy, it's like okay, you can kind of take your chances with a competent machine shop. But when you've got like a rare engine, so let's say you get a side oiler 427 or a Hemi block, something or like a numbers matching. You're doing a collector car and it's got a numbers matching engine, right? At that point, it's actually worth the extra money to ship the block to somebody who specializes in that block, right? Like for instance, if I'm going to have a 426 Hemi machine, like I have Shacklets up here, okay? And Shacklets, I love Shacklets. I trust them. They do fantastic work. Actually, they screwed up our block on me once too, but they admitted and they made good on it, right? But I love Shacklets. That's my go-to machine shop around here. But if I have to have a Hemi done, I like, for instance, I when we did the GTX, when we did Andy's 67 Hemi GTX 2 years ago, was it? Yeah, it was 2 years ago now. I personally drove that thing up to Ray Martin's because at that point you want to deal with somebody who lives those exact engines and knows the exact. You see what I'm saying? So when you really got to be careful when you choose a machine shop, especially when you're dealing with something that's like rare or irreplaceable. Or, you know what I'm saying? Um, let's see. Eric Wilson, I bought and I'm building one of those Chinese 125cc engines for my Trail 70 CT70 frame right now. Those are good. Did they get the life in? Those are good motors. Funny coincidence. I just watched a video. They show there's this one channel that has all manufacturing processes, and they go to all of these different shops, like in Pakistan and like Indonesia and Vietnam and China, and they go to all of these different factories and they show how these things are made, usually by guys with no shoes on and little kids. But the work they do is really amazing. And just today, I watched a video on them assembling those engines, or a clone of one of those engines. They look to be like Indians or Pakistanis, and it was like a modern engine shop. It wasn't like the typical thing with the chickens running around. Um, but yeah, it's funny you bring that up because I watched them actually build one of those engines from scratch. It was like a 12-minute video, well worth looking for it. It was entertaining, to say the least. Um, Smoking Man, I drive a Mach E, no issues, no aftermarket. What? I, okay. Well, somebody was saying that they drive a Mach E and they're having fun with it, and good. I'm sorry, I'm. This is going faster than I can keep up. Uh, John M. Hey Tony, how has the Chinesium carb been so far? Well, we've had a few of them and still haven't had a problem with any of them. Uh, what's this? Oh, Cukes. Tony, have you had any jobs done on the E34 M5 38 P36 engine? I'm about building this thing. Any suggestions? Oh, bro, I have no idea what that even is. I have no idea. Does it have pistons? I don't know. That's that's all my experience on that. Uh, let's see. Um, Sammy, yes, Tony, what do you think of the old 12 valve Dodge trucks? What's not? I mean, they're icons of reliability and power. What's not to like about them? Um, Stray Bullet, laugh out loud. A Mach E, that car has no soul. Listen, listen. Our problem or my problem, our problem with as car guys is not with electric cars themselves or the people who enjoy electric cars. He has a Mach-E and he loves his Mach-E. Okay, it's not your cup of tea, and what you drive isn't his cup of tea, but he enjoys it and he likes it, and good for him, right? Everybody should be happy with what they drive, and he's happy with what he drives. The problem is the pie in the sky green idiots who don't understand how the world really works, right? So don't rag on people just because they or look down at them or because they have an electric car. I just saw a thing. I just saw a thing about an electric this school. This was pretty cool. The school built this electric. I want to say go kart. It's bigger than a go kart. It's like a little mini race car. Okay, and their idea was the goal there was to go 100 miles an hour, 0 to 100 miles an hour in under a second. Okay, which is top fuel territory. Like literally, that's top fuel territory. That's the same acceleration rate as you'd find in a top fuel dragster. So they wanted to go 0 to 100 in under a second. So they built this thing. It's all electric. And like really trick stuff. It's all-wheel drive. It has like a reverse hovercraft thing where right before they launch it, they turn on these fans and it sucks the air out from under the car and sucks the car down for traction. And then they let a guy take this thing for a rip. And man, it was just rocking. And I watched that. I turned to Kathy and says, I need one of those. I need to have one of those. And it's electric. Don't turn your nose up at things just because it's a different form of propulsion. You know what I'm saying? And don't alienate people who are into that type of thing because they're fellow car people. It's the political end of things. It's the greeny end of things. It's the propaganda end of things that we should have a problem with. Okay. Uncle Mindis, we love combustion engines. They run on napalm. Well, they don't run on napalm. They run on gasoline. Napalm is styrofoam and gasoline. What a horrible thing. Who came up with this? What kind of evil fuck came up with the concept of napalm and using napalm? But napalm is styrofoam melted in gasoline. Let's see. Conscious play. Hey, buddy, what do you think about drilling into a dominator to make a vacuum port? Go for it. Why would there be a problem with that? Let's see. The U.S. Army invented napalm in World War II. Yeah, I know. It's just evil shit, is what it is. Let's see. Mike N. I have a 69 Camaro I've had since 1993 and a 2023 Highlander hybrid. I love them both. The two technologies can coexist. I agree with you. Los Cadaver War, although terrible, brings us some of the coolest inventions. You see, that's true. That's true, and that goes with my concept, okay? Because I'm starting to realize that Sammy Miller used to run 0 to 100 in 3/10 of a second. I know. We talked about Sammy last week. Um, so I'm you guys are gonna think I'm joking, okay? I'm actually coming out on the side of pro climate change. I'm in favor of climate change because all human progress comes from conquering adversity, right? Like all technology starts in war, right? All progress, right? All human advancement, progress stems from overcoming adversity. So if we are going to have global change, climate change, and everything's going to go upside down and the poles are going to shift and everything's going crazy, well, that's the best thing you could possibly do for human evolution because we'll have to adapt and overcome whatever these things are. And so, therefore, I'm pro climate change. Smoking Man, I drive a Mach E. How do you feel about the new electric car made by Nick Gar? I'm not familiar with it, bro. I'm not familiar with it. Nick Gar. What is the thing about that? Jake B doing stuff. Thank you for the super chat, brother. Daily driver engine built for a 400 B block, 727 and a D100. Any suggestions on compression, cam, carb? Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Bro, honestly, build stock. If it's a daily driver, okay, fill a stock. Don't let's celebrate the third super channel life. I don't know. I just got a notice over here. If it was me, I would build it stock. Yeah, I know it's a low compression engine. It's like an 8-to-1 engine, compression engine. It'll run on hairspray, but that's one of the things about it. If it's a daily driver, you want to be able to just pull it to any pump and not worry about it, and you could feed that thing 87 all day long. For cam, I would just go with. I mean, I know it's going to sound so generic, okay? Just an RV grind cam, just a small RV grind, right? Um, but if it was me and I was building it for, that was my purpose. I'm gonna put a 400 in a D100, dead stock, dead stock, and you'll be so happy with it. It'll last forever. It'll run forever. Trust me. Not everything has to be modified. I know it's our instincts. We're hot rodders. Right? You go, oh, gotta modify this. No, some things function just perfectly the way they are. JK, yep, best daily drivers are stock, low compression, too many trick parts, or a recipe for disaster. I don't know about a recipe for disaster, but a recipe for not as good as it could be. You know what I'm saying? Um, Los Cadero, Tony, are you familiar with Hyundai's hydrogen hybrid program and the N74? I'm not, but I'm starting to look into the hydrogen thing. I only have so many hours in a day. I only have so many freaking spare brain cells. But it is something that I'm going to start educating myself about. Like I kind of been avoiding it myself. I've been avoiding it, getting into it because I know this is going to be one of those things that's going to run off on these mental tangents. So I'm just waiting for like maybe like the winter. You know what I mean? If it gets cold and I don't really want to do anything, at that point I may sit down and really focus on that, like on the hydrogen, the concept of hydrogen fuel cars, and really look at it. But I'm staying deliberately ignorant of it for the time being. Um, let's see. Punisher 506, talk to me. Poly 318 I have for last year, 66. Wait, oh God, I'm sorry, bro. Hang on. Okay. 66, pretty fresh. Neat ideas for a daily 72 D100. So you want to put a Poly 318 and a 72 D100. You're gonna have problems with exhaust on that, bro. Nobody's gonna make headers to fit that. Nobody's gonna make headers to fit that combination on a 72. I think they changed the frame in 71. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have any good suggestions for you. Um, Kinsley's Race with You. Thank you for the super chat. I quit chasing sprint cars. Can't afford it. 185 right racing is like that, bro. Bought 84 Camaro drag race in my daughter's memory. Building a small block 400 camel hump heads. Okay budget. I mean, I guess. Well, I mean, see, I don't know. Like somebody in here will give you suggestions on that. I don't. I mean, for a budget small block of 400, I don't see why not. Port them. Give mild porting like anything else, and they'll run okay. Uh, you're not looking to turn the world upside down. You're not going to go chase the street outlaws around, right? No prep kings. So I mean, yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. But maybe somebody will have some good suggestions for you on those. Um, let's see. Partsington. Um, do you have a video about finding out if you have a rod knock or a lifter problem? I don't have a video like that. Wait, I did a video on identifying engine sounds not too long ago. Oh my God, I don't remember now. Um, I did a video on identifying engine sounds. I think I did it within the last 2 years. So search that on my channel and see what comes up. I don't even remember what was in the video. It's all one video. It's all one video. It all blurs together. It's like 5 years, 1,000 freaking videos, and it's all. When I look back on it, it's just one big clump of video, right? But I think I did cover all of that. Let's see. Okay, Smoking Man. Nick Gar had this is the electric car Nick Gar is building. Has uses battery technology using carbon fusion. So charcoal condensed electrodes smashed under high compression to create a highly conductive paste. Out of my league, bro. Totally out of my league. That's beyond my field of expertise or knowledge. It sounds interesting, but I don't know anything about it. And no, I haven't seen anything about it. Um, let's see. Sammy guest, Tony, with your motorcycle views, I was wondering how you felt with dual sports versus cruisers for daily use. A dual sports probably better than a cruiser for daily use. So here's the thing, right? I happen to love dual sport bikes. I don't own one. I actually came real close to buying a Himalayan maybe 6 months ago. I mean, like real close to buying a Himalayan, and I realized I don't have any place to ride the damn thing. Um, It's a toss up. It's a toss up. Heavy cruisers are bad for daily bikes, but lighter metric cruisers are great for daily bikes. Like for instance, that little Yamaha. I gave it to my kid. It's still here. It's a 250 Virago. I did a video on it. That's a great daily bike. Like if you got to commute, you know what I mean. Just run around town, do your errands and stuff like that. Boy, that bike is perfect for that. Whereas like a heavier like a Harley, even a Sportster, is a little heavy and ponderous for using as like daily, knock around bike. But no, I love dual sports, but I guess it's just a toss up. Um, let's see. Riley's Junkyard and Petting Zoo. Tony, my buddy, who's not much of a rancher, has a Monte Carlo he's building a 454 for. He wants to pay this guy $7,000 to put it together from scratch. I said he could do it for himself for much cheaper. Yeah, I'd say so. Um, uh, $7,000 will build you a really, really, really nice 454 if you do it yourself. Um, Tell them to watch videos. Tell them to watch videos and get the books. Get the service manual. Um, Mopar ShopRite. Have you built a Mopar 383 stroker? No, I've done a couple. I've done a couple of 451s. The 400. Um, with a 383 block, it works out to a 426. Like if you drop the 440 crank into a 383 block, you end up with a low deck 426 wedge. I haven't built one yet, but only because every time it came up, there was a 400 block handy. So why use a 383 when you can use a 400, which is just a better overall package? Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. That 426, the 426 low deck would be a really sweet motor, especially build it with the short rods. A lot of people will build a low deck motor, a low deck stroker, and use the tall deck rods. You have to get you got to get custom pistons anyway. But that's a mistake. That's a mistake. If you build a low deck stroker and use the long connecting rods, the RB rods, you're negating the purpose of building the low deck stroker. So you always want to use the short rods, and that'd be a really sweet combination. Um, let's see. Ragtop Dick Z01. We have modern muscle and a pony car, and definitely not disposable. I'm old enough to say they are my last internal combustion cars I will buy. I have little interest in EVs till they have a better range. Okay. Um, let's see. Eric Wilson, I hand scratched built a 70s Enduro scrambler bike using an oh 07 Hyosung GT250R engine, and I'm amazed by the quality of that motor. It's a Honda clone. It's a Honda clone. It's the old 250 Honda. Yeah, you can't go wrong with those. Um, Los Cadaver. Tony, Ian has been asking you repeatedly. I answered to the best of my knowledge about the Caddy 500. Answer him before he goes full rage. I didn't see Guys, this is like it's going through here fast, and I may miss some. I'm sorry if I do. I the Caddy 500, they're great stock motors. Their weak link is in the is in the rocker, is in the valve train. Um, the weak link is in the valve train. That's what I remember about those engines. More than that, I don't really know. I can't give you I can't give you an educated answer on those engines. Jake be doing stuff. Thank you for the super chat. Long rod versus short rod. Difference in top dead center dwell time. It's that rod angularity. Angularity equals torque. So the shorter rod, you get more angularity. The rod leans into the crankshaft in the direction of rotation, more so earlier in the stroke. And so a short rod motor is always going to be snappier than a long rod motor. Long rod motor ultimately will make better horsepower upstairs. So yes, a long connecting rod engine is superior at higher RPM. But for street driving and for drag racing, a short rod, a rod ratio motor, will dig in harder at the hit and give you more throttle response. It'll be a snappier engine than a long rod motor. Um, let's see. JK, Tony, I just wanted to say how happy I am to have found you on YouTube. I used to read High Performance Mopar in 87 to 70, 91, and I'm pretty sure you're personally responsible for half the stuff I know about Mopars. Well, thank you, man. Thank you. Uh, I was out of that whole thing by 90, I think it was. But I appreciate it. Thank you. Uh, Striker 1553, thank you for the super chat. Just bought a 94 Chevy K1500. Well, also just saw your video about older daily drivers. 350 TBI runs a bit rich. Seems this is pretty characteristic. You know, those 90s TBI setups, you're really honestly, and I'm not saying because I'm anti-carb, I'm anti-fuel injection. I'm not saying because of that. You're probably really better off retrofitting to a carburetor on that. You know, the TBI is it's an electronic carburetor and it's not as efficient as a carburetor. Uh, the TBI was like a stopgap. It's different than port injection. So if it was me, I would be retrofitting that thing to a quadrijet. I would put a quadrijet on that thing, and you would definitely pick up fuel mileage, throttle response, and overall horsepower. No question about it. So, uh, Mike N sent me a super chat. Well, just thank you, sir. No question or anything. Los Cadaver, sorry I put you on the spot. Don't ever be sorry about putting me on the spot. I sit here so I could be on the spot. Don't worry about it. Digging Dolphin, hey Tony, how do I convince my boyfriend he has too many projects and needs to focus on one instead of six? That is not easy. That is not easy. You don't convince him to do it. What you do is you get involved in one. Okay, you get involved in one uh, directly. Like in other words, like kind of like take. I don't want to say take control, but take the lead on one of the projects, and the one that you like the best, right? And he'll follow, right? Lead and he'll follow. You can't convince him. You'll never be able to talk him into doing it. You have to actually, you know what I mean, lead him. All right. Josh Baxell, never too many projects. Quit trying to change him, help him. No, there is such a thing as too many projects, and that's where I'm at. And that's that. Okay, that's where I'm at in my life right now. I'm 61. I got maybe 10 good productive years left, and I don't have the time to finish all of the things that I've put out for myself. So I've been getting rid of things. You know what I mean? I'm scaling back. It depends on the stage of your life. When you're in your 20s or 30s now, you really can't have too many projects. But the older you get, you have to realize you only get so much time. You only have so many days on this freaking planet. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, there comes a point where you start clearing them out, simplify. Uh, Break yourself fool. Hey Tony, you should check out the Lampredi twin cam engine if you haven't ever come across it. I have not. Common in old Fiats. It's very dependable and capable little four-cylinder engine. Anyone can fix one. You know, I've never even heard of it, but I will look at that. I will look at that. Elijah Jones on the TBI. He needs to get the timing light out and check his timing if he's running a little rich. Also, the injector is very famous. If you're getting dirty, it makes them run leaner. Well, that's the thing. You look at the spray pattern, right? And that's the one thing. That's the one benefit with a TBI. You can actually look at the spray pattern and see what's going on there. And if you have an ununiform spray pattern, it looks more like a shower head than a fine mist, then there's your problem right there. It's a bad injector. Rusted 12 valve. Thank you for the super chat. Thanks for what you do. Thank you for being here and doing what you do. I'm old school millennial and rather gap points and set dwell and sit on the couch and scroll Facebook, unless it's Marketplace. Hey, that's two of us, man. That's two of us. Well, I got to stay off of Marketplace. I really do. I really do. Olive, what's happening, Olive? Some memorabilia might be about peaked as for investment value. I suspect younger generations don't know what a lot of it even is. They're learning. There's a lot of interest. Olive, there's so much interest from younger people in our lives. We had it so. Olive, you're my age, right? I think you're my age. We had it so good. We had the best of everything. You know, we experienced the high watermark of American culture. You know, late '60s to the early '70s. Right, that was it. And you know, everything, the movies, the music, the cars, the culture, everything was the best that's ever been. Okay, and then the younger generations, I think they're done resenting us for it, and I think now they want to participate in it. So I think you're going to see you know, the pendulum always swings the other way, right? So I think you're going to see the younger generations now really start to embrace the culture that we had in the '60s and the '70s. Let's see. Mopar Man 78. What's happening, brother? Let's see. XJ David. Hey, Tony, I'm about ready to freshen up the 4-liter in the Jeep. I drive a manual and would love more torque, 1,200 to 1,500 RPM range. Any ideas? Well, I mean, there's lots of cam grinds available for those engines, and there's an easy stroker using the old AMC crank. I would look into that stuff. Look into the stroker 4.0. It's not going to cost you any more to do the stroker really than if you do it like a replacement crank on yours. So I would look into that, and that'll give you the bottom end oomph you're looking for. Let's see. Brygon, the windshield wiper knob for third generation chargers are silly money, so I'm crafting a 38 special shell as a knob. Problem solved. That's because it's this long. Now, I don't know if you guys aren't familiar with the windshield wiper switches for those things, but it's this long. John Mays, can you explain a desmodromic valve engine design? Yes, desmodromic is what Ducati is famous for it. Other manufacturers have played with it over the years. It's one of the oldest ways of opening and closing valves. But what the desmodromic does is it does away with the valve spring. And so not only does the lobe on the camshaft open the valve, but it also closes the valve. So basically you've got a follower on each side of the lobe. One opens it and then one closes it. And that's what the desmodromic is. The problem with that is that they need fairly regular adjustments. Let's see. UT, give up smoking, Mopar forever. No, I can't give up smoking. Didn't you see that video we did? Uncle Tony's quit smoking. That's what happens. You don't want to see that. That's terrible. It's terrible. Let's see. Larry's Lagoon. Is there a way to change the 5 on 4-inch hubs to 5 by 4.5 on my '65 Barracuda? Yeah, you just get the later. You need the later spindle and upper control arm, 73 and upper control arm. Throw that in there, and you can go to the 4.5 inch. Joe K. Tony, I know you love G bodies, but would you choose an 80s Monty over a 70, 72? Yes, I would. I really would. I had an 86 Monty SS. I loved that car. I flat wore it out. It was back during my nitro days, and I was running all over the country with this thing. It was in constant motion, always on the interstate, going from New York to Chicago, and then New York back to New York, and then up to Wisconsin, and back to New York, and then down to South Carolina, and then back to New York, and and then down to Florida. That car was in constant motion for the 2 years that I had it, and I missed that thing. I love that car. It was beautiful. That Monte SS was a car, it was black with a gray interior. That was a car that car is one of the few that I ever owned that whenever I parked it, I'd always turn around as I was walking away from it because just looked so stately and beautiful. So yes, I would definitely take an 80s Monte over a 7071. Let's see. End of time. Is there a real difference between a 67 Valiant front clip and a 68? 67 on a 68 body. No. The only difference is marker lights. The 67 doesn't have marker lights. The 68 does. And the center of the grill. 67 has an opening there with the emblem, and 68 doesn't. But no, they're the same. Ian Gabriel, did the Thunderbird Turbo Coupe 2.3 turbo really scare the V8s back then? No, it didn't scare any V8s. It was a respectable, fun-running engine. They were good cars. I drove a couple of them when I was doing the magazines. I was supposed to do a drag test on one. I had the car for like a day, and it was a scheduling thing, and I had to give it back before. But I spent the day with one, and it was a fun car. But no, it didn't scare any V8s. Mig 1969. Well, thank you for the super chat. It's a very generous super chat. Thank you. Here go Tony. Can you tell us why a balanced pipe or an X pipe makes so much more low end torque? It does exactly what it says in. It does exactly what it says in the name. It balances. It balances the pulses between the two halves of the exhaust, or the two sides of the exhaust. When you balance it, you're smoothing it. When you smooth it, you allow better extraction. That's it. I mean, for the generous super chat, I wish I could give a more elaborate answer than that, but that's what it is. An H pipe is the traditional way of doing it, and again, it's just a balance tube. So it's just, it's taking the chunk of the pulse that's coming through and allowing it to expand elsewhere. Yeah, so it's smoothing it. So it's just balancing between the two sides. And an X pipe just does that more efficiently. That's all it is. Let's see. Mike Falcone, I have a 1972 Duster. What other than stock grill can I get that will fit, even with minor mods? 72. Okay, so a 72 Duster, you can use a popular swap for that. I don't like it. I don't like it. I've seen it done. The popular swap for that is a 69 Valiant, which is a good looking grill. Don't get me wrong. 69 Valiant is a very good looking grill. In a 69 Valiant, I don't really like the way it looks on a Duster. So that would be your one choice that you could pop right in there. Your other choice would be a Shark's Tooth. Those are the only grills that fit without modification on that 72 Duster front end nose. Let's see. Paul Pajohi, what causes a buildup of vacuum in the crankcase? Vacuum in the crankcase? It's the other way around. The crankcase becomes pressurized. We have two things that happen in a crankcase. You've got blow-by, because no matter how well the engine seals, there's still some blow-by that gets past the rings. But then you've also got the pumping action of the piston. So you got a picture of the bottom of a piston is like a cup, and the bottom of the piston is coming down. It's pushing air down. It's pushing the crankcase air down into the crankcase. So now, obviously, there's also a suction going the other way, but net, you end up with positive crankcase pressure. So you don't have vacuum, you have positive pressure. And that's why you use a PCV valve. A PCV valve is a vacuum valve that helps alleviate some of that positive pressure that's in the crankcase. Um, Striker, thank you for the super chat. My Yamaha RD has a Banshee balance pipe between the carburetors, all supported with Banshee pistons. Really smooth out the two strokes mid range. I'm sure. I'm sure. Um, let's see. Gerald Kirk. So deep down, you Chevy man. I'm a car guy. I'm a car guy, right? I have the stuff that I surround myself with, right? But I can't surround myself with everything. So I surround myself with one thing. You know what I mean? And I stick within that world of Mopars. But I have an appreciation, and I've worked on everything you could think of. I've worked on at one time or another. No, that's not true. That's not true. There's a lot of stuff I haven't worked on. The vast majority of things that you're going to come across, the people on this channel, the vast majority of things that you find in this country, I've worked on. Um, let's see. Tavo Garage. I had a 360 that had severe vacuum in the crankcase. Intake gasket fell apart at the bottom. Okay, well, that's different. That's different. That's not a normal situation. That's a freak occurrence. Um, Dylan Stafford, Uncle Tony, daily driver question. I have 71 Imperial that has the firmness of the brake pedal varies as I drive and stop. It has OEM power disc brakes in the front and a rebuilt booster. Um, Firmness of the brake pedal varies as I drive and stop. Just because a booster is rebuilt doesn't mean that it's good. Um, hmm. Could you have an intermittent vacuum leak? I don't know how the engine runs. Is there? I would say close. I would say probably more than likely you've got a faulty booster, but I'd have to actually be with the car. Um, let's see. Anthony Pern, you want to put a turbo 2.3 on a Pinto? It's been done. It's been done. Uh, Cogito. Oh God, I can't pronounce that name. Cogito or Govexo. Okay. Uncle Tony, BMW Triumph motorcycles. I love Brit bikes, man. And the boxer motors just don't really do it for me, right? There's that weird side to side thing that they do, BMW. I'm not crazy about it. I do love Brit bikes though, so I definitely have to go with the Triumph on that. Anthony Pernatoni could be a master cylinder on its way out. No, not necessarily. A master cylinder on its way out will bypass. So you'll step on the brake, you'll hold your foot on the brake, and then the pedal will get soft underneath you. But the pressure wouldn't really vary. And the way I read his question was that like the feel of the pedal varies, not the distance traveled. So, yeah, but I know what you're saying, and you're 100% right. Brian Power, Uncle Tony, have you heard of someone using a two-stroke style expansion chamber to accentuate the effects of valve timing? People have tried everything. If you could think of it, if you could conceive it, even things that you can't think of and conceive, people have tried it with internal combustion engines. And if it had any value, you would see it in use someplace, like Formula One or whatever. Um, I'm sure somebody's tried it. I don't think it works. I can't tell you exactly why it wouldn't work. If it was something that was a thing, I would look into it and try to find out why it did work. But no, I don't think so. Um, Straight Bullet 3393. You can actually get a Pinto with a factory installed 3.6. That's some power. They used a 3.0 motor in that. Only it wasn't a 3.0. It was a 3.0 in later engines. It was a Cologne V6, the 60-degree V6. Great engines. Great engines. It was that was like a 2.7 liter or 2.8 liter, and it was only available in the Pinto for like 1 or 2 years. But I know the setup that you're talking about. Brady Nelson, what do you think about British cars like MG and Triumph? I dig both early MGs and early Triumphs. My cutoff with those is really early 70s. So you're talking about 60s, late 50s, 60s MGs and Triumphs. Man, they're jewels. They're just absolutely beautiful. Mechanically fragile. They're very fragile, but I do love them. When you get to the later years, I lose a lot of respect for all the British stuff once you get into like into the late 70s, into the early 80s. Dean Stevenson, Uncle Tony, how do you get 261 likes? I have 204 likes, Dean. I don't have 205. People don't like me. They like Kiwi. Bill McKeisker, $20. Thank you, Bill. On the break question. Could it be as simple as just building too much heat in a short amount of time to stop and go driving, especially in a big car like that, if it doesn't take much for a little brake fade to creep in? Brake fade, yes, I could see that, but why would that vary the pedal pressure, right? The pedal feel, So I guess, yeah, you would have to dig harder for a hot brake. And yeah, okay, by that token, a dragging wheel cylinder or a dragging brake caliper will give you that same basic thing. So you may be onto it. There's a lot of ways to skin that cat. But again, I read his question as why does the pedal effort change? Meaning that 1 minute you hit it, it's hard, and the next minute you hit it, it's soft. That's how I read his question, but I might have read it wrong. Biscuit, I've got a 440 out of an RV with 55,000 miles on it. Just wondering what's the price on those. Runs good. It's a 77. Okay, so here's the thing. You got two different types of RV 440s, and depending on which one you have is what its value is. So if you have the truck one, okay, easiest way to tell you if you've got the truck one or not is spark plug size. The truck, the industrial truck 440 uses a 5/8 plug, like a peanut plug, like a Chevy. Now, if that's what you've got, the only thing of value on that engine is the short block itself. So the crank, the pistons, the rods, all of that is good and valuable and usable. Nothing else on the engine fits the automotive application. So the value of a good used short block, I don't know, what's it worth? $200, $300? You know what I mean? It's a used short block. If it's a complete, good running, in automotive style RV motor, because they used both. Then it's worth probably, as a good running motor, it's worth $800, $700, $800. Cognito Garvenxic, I can't pronounce your name, man. Did you do that on purpose? Uncle Tony, Rocket 3 or VMAX? I don't like the 3 cylinders. Okay, don't get me wrong now. Give me a 2-stroke triple any day of the week. I love them. They're fantastic. A 4-stroke 3-cylinder engine always sounds to me like it has a miss. My friend Ty, he's a copier, had one of those, a Rocket 3, and I could not ride that bike for more than 5 minutes before I was like, no, I got to get off this thing. So yeah, definitely. And a VMAX, how can anybody not love a VMAX? Let's see. Digging Dolphin. Hey, Tony, my boyfriend is wanting to trade his Suzuki DRZ 400 to a BMW turbo diesel with 100,000 miles for a winter beater. I feel like he might regret it. Any advice? Anytime you get rid of, does he have other bikes? I don't know. See, I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't give you an answer on that. Let's see. Harry Tan, I had an 850 Yami triple. I thought there were 750s. I thought there were 750s, the Yami triples. But I could be wrong. Yeah, an H2 Kawasaki. Only see, they talk about the H2 like the H2 was the bomb, and the H2 was not the bomb. Okay, the real The real Widowmaker, okay, like the bike that the legend was built around, was the original 500, the 69, 70, 71 H1. Okay, that 500. The, I had one. Okay, that was sick. That bike was sick. There was no reason to put that thing in the hands of the general public. It was just, and it was only a 12-second bike, but it was a 12-second bike that had this insane lunge. Like it's hard to explain. It's hard to explain, right? But I mean, you just it rides like a pussycat. Okay, you just, you know what I mean? You just roll into it easy. Okay, and you give it just a little more throttle, and you're like, oh, nothing's happening. All of a sudden, the thing just pops up like that. They were amazing. So when they tamed it down, they had to tame that bike down for emissions purposes. And when they did that, I guess it was in '72, was it? That's when they detuned the 500, and that's when they came up with the H2, the 750. The H2 750 was only about as strong as the earlier H1, but the H1 is the one that had all the character and all the violence. So yeah, those bikes were freaking awesome. I one time or another had all of the triples. The only two-stroke triple I never owned was a GT 550, a Suzuki GT 550. But I had a GT 380. I had a Water Buffalo. I had all of the Kawasaki two strokes, the 250, the 350, the 400, the 500, the 750. I had all of those. So I know two stroke triples like the back of my hand. It's been a long time. I've seized many a center cylinder in my day. Um, the GT 750 is great for long distances. Yeah, I was really disappointed, right? When I got my first water buffalo, my only water buffalo. I only had one water buffalo, and I was really disappointed in it because I was used to the Kawasaki triples. So I was like, wow, cool. Water cooled, more compression, right? It won't seize up that center cylinder. You can hammer this thing, right? And I bought it, and I was just really let down by it because I was expecting Kawasaki like performance out of it. So I offed it right away. I kept the bike for like 3 or 4 days, and I sold it to my friend Matt Canick. And from what I understand, he still has the bike up in New York. But I was disappointed in it. But in hindsight now, I was looking for something different than what that bike offered, right? Because that bike was the smoothest, quietest motorcycle I ever owned. If you want to picture an electric motorcycle, okay, what an electric motorcycle would feel like as far as like vibration, and that Water Buffalo was like an electric motorcycle. It was the smoothest, quietest, sweetest running engine that you could imagine, but it didn't have what I was looking for at the time, and what I was looking for at the time was terror. You see what I'm saying? So I think I would approach the Water Buffalo with a totally different attitude now that I'm an old man. Okay. Moped Man 78. Tony, tech question. On my 65 daughter running super stock springs with 8 and a quarter, 8 and 3/4. I have stock KYB shocks. Am I supposed to be running truck shocks or shocks with extenders? Okay, on a B body, you want to use a B body shock on that. On a B body, you want to use a C body shock. Um, you shouldn't need to run extenders. Just put a B body shock on there and you'll be fine. You can even use a C body shock. You can put a C body shock on there; it'll work as well. The whole purpose of the longer shock is just to allow the rear end, especially with a pinion snubber. If you're on a pinion snubber, to allow the rear end to drop out completely. Because what happens is if you've got a violent launch, you got a hard hit, okay? Pinion snubber comes up, hits the floor, drives the rear end into the ground. It has to be able to maintain that downward momentum in order to maintain traction. If you use it too short of a shock absorber, there's a sudden stop to the downward motion, and at that point, it breaks traction. And so that's why you use a longer shock on a high performance on a Mopar rear suspension. Um, let's see. Brian Rose, does a dual in and out muffler accomplish the same thing as an H pipe? You know, I don't know. I never thought about that. I never really thought about that. I don't know. I don't know. Um, so we're talking about a baffled muffler, right? We're talking about a baffled muffler. No, 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 a baffled muffler. And I can't articulate this right now. I know it sounds crazy, right? I just had a thought that I can't articulate, but I can't articulate it right now. But no, it would not have the same effect as a balanced tube or an X pipe. Um, and that's if it's a chamber, if it's a baffled, a no. Uh, let's see. Punisher 506. What's your opinion on a 318 Magnum converted to LA? I mean, it's kind of a step backwards. I mean, the LA, the Magnum heads is so much more superior. I don't know why anybody would really do that. Um, and you got that problem. I mean, you want to convert the Magnum to LA, you got the oil passage you got to deal with because the oil passage is cast into the block, but it's not drilled through. So you got to drill that much through from the deck to the cam bearing. So yeah, I don't, not worth it. Um, Burned out garage just picked up a 71 Charger SE with cruise control. Oh, what a sweet car! Uh, how do the old cruise control units work? The same. It's the same exact concept that they use all the way through, like the 1980 before it became electronic cruise, right? It's the same as the General Motors system that they use in like the 1980s cars. Um, there's nothing exotic about it. There's nothing exotic about it. Um, Geos, Tony, early 60s Mopar question. Daily 63 Dart. I keep blowing regulators. Is it just because I have a 55 amp alternator? I've tried new old stock replacements and even those cheap solid state ones every 5,000 miles. So you go into a regulator every 5,000 miles. And you've tried the solid state one as well. Um, 55 amp alternator. Um, Geez, I don't know. I don't know. I know this is gonna sound obvious, right? But you are sure you've got a good ground to the regulator itself, right? Because those regulators are held in place with those self-tapper type of screws. They don't really tighten up very well. Are you sure that you don't have a ground issue there? Try soldering a ground wire to the body of the regulator, and then ground that directly to the car and see if that doesn't fix the problem. A 55 amp alternator, I don't believe is gonna give you a problem with that. Um, Also, is it does the needle ride normally? Okay, so in other words, like when everything is functioning the way it's supposed to. So your alternator gauge, you got that center slash on the alternator gauge, and when everything is functioning the way it's supposed to, the needle will ride normally, just to the right. Well, that's the left because I'm looking at backwards over here. The needle is going to ride just to the right of that center mark. When you first start it, it's going to go about a third of the way past the center mark, and then after, let's say, running for 30 seconds a minute, it'll settle back down to the center or just to the right of the center. So the first thing you want to know in diagnosing this issue that you have is to note that the system is functioning the way it should. Because if it's always in a state of overcharge, or anything like that, or swings wildly, then you've got issues someplace else, and it's showing up in the regulator. Um, Geos, the needle moves way more than it should and goes most of the way to full after cranking. Yeah. All right. I have to think about that. I got to think about that. Do you have access to the service manual? Do you have access and you can find it online. Because if you could access the charging system section of the service manual, it'll give you the whole troubleshooting, sequence in there. Well, at the top of my head right now, and you got to forgive me because I got questions that I'm trying to answer and keep up with everything. And off the top of my head, I can't really give you a direct answer on that. But I can tell you that the problem isn't the regulators that you're throwing in there. The problem is whatever is causing that. Is it the same battery? Because if you got a battery with a bad cell in it, it'll do that. It'll overcharge. If you've got a battery that's got an intermittent bad connection in it, it'll overcharge and undercharge. It'll swing a lot. A bed connection at the alternator gauge will give you that swinging back and forth. A dirty spade connector at the bulkhead connector, at the bulkhead in the firewall, will give you swinging like that. Um, yeah, see if you can get the service manual and have a look at that. Uh, let's see. Ear Cuss, this is a brand new record for On Topic Tech Talk tonight. Maybe Kiwi's charm is disruptive. I mean, I'm doing what I can. I don't have, uh, you've given me more direction than I had. Thank you. You're quite welcome, my friend. Um, well, Paul Man 78, if a reluctor and the distributor gets magnetized, it will give the same effect, killing regulators? I don't see how. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I don't see how. Can you explain that one? Um, Anthony Perna, is there any way to get a GM alternator to charge better at idle? Unless I take the car out, it just maintains the battery but never brings it to full charge. Only thing I could think of. So it's charging, okay, but it's not charging a lot. And I'm assuming your idle speed is like in the 800 RPM range or thereabouts. Pulley sizes. Did you screw around with pulley sizes? Do you have an undersized crank pulley on there? Because that'll do it, or an oversized alternator pulley. You see what I'm saying? Is the pulley assemblies matched to the RPM that the motor's idling at versus the RPM of the alternator? Because that'll happen. That's very common. People will put an undersized crank pulley on there to slow the accessories down, but at the same time you're slowing the alternator down. So at low speeds, at idle, it's just barely charging and sometimes even discharging the battery. So that might be an issue. Anthony Perna, yes, totally stock, 55 Buick, rebuilt generator. Okay, all right. So generator. I'm sorry, Anthony Perna. I thought you said alternator. Okay. Um, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, Anthony Perna. Did you polarize the generator? Mopoman 78 is saying a magnetized reluctor will cause the voltage gauge to bounce back and forth. How? How does that happen? Like, what's the relationship between? I don't know. I'm asking. I'm asking. I'm not challenging you. I'm asking because I want to know how would that actually work. Um, the rebuilder told me he did. No, you can't. Okay, you can't polarize a generator unless it's on the car and running. Once you take it off the car, once you break the circuitry, it's not polarized anymore. So do a quick YouTube search, video search, how to polarize that generator, and that'll fix your problem. Okay. Uh-oh, did this thing freeze? Can you guys see me? Uh-oh. I think we froze, guys. I'm not seeing. Oh, there we go. Okay, it just moved again. Okay. Let me go back here. A polarizing topic of conversation. Abel D. Tony will be doing Power Tour West 2023 now. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Anthony. I appreciate that. But yeah, that's a problem. The generator has to be polarized after it's been installed, and as soon as you, like, if you disconnect the battery for any reason, you've got to repolarize it. Adolf Brownstein, what do you think about the '93 Dodge Ram Charger? Are they good? Yeah, they're great. They're great. They have problems, so you're gonna have electrical problems with that thing. Engine electrical problems around the computer, like every one of them. Okay, that's got the TBI motor in it. But other than that, yeah, they're good. They're really good. Burnout Garage. Hey, you ever heard of a stamped steel big block rocker in 1.6? I never heard of it. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Frank F. Well, thank you, brother. Um, Ray Schultz, what do you know about the hot vapor engine? I did several videos on vapor engines and Smokey's deal and all of that. So yeah, I know enough about it to know what was tried and why it doesn't work. That's that's as much as I know about them. Okay. Let's see. Okay, you guys are talking amongst each other here. Gasifier, decrease pulley size. God, guys, I feel like I'm being left out of the conversation now. All right, here we go. Uncle Bendice, Tony, have you ever heard of the Mercedes T80? It did 480 kmph. I don't even know it. No, I've never heard of it. Let's see. Joe K. Tony, did you know that you can buy a big block Chevy 572 from Walmart online for 25,000? No, I didn't. I, I would be a little leery. I would be a little leery of a Walmart stroker big block. Yeah, you give me a break. I don't need a break. Hit me with your best shot. Random guy, hey Tony, do you run or recommend Schaefer's oil in your old V8s? What's your go-to oils for them? I have a friend of mine who's a distributor for Schaefer oil, but I don't use their stuff. I generally I go with okay, this is the brain tumor. This is where you get the brain tumor. I have it all over the place. Rotella, Shell Rotella. There's only like literally like there's 30-gallon containers of Shell Rotella everywhere, and I couldn't think of what it was. I generally just use the Shell Rotella, and I have had no problems with it. Abel D, well, you asked me this already. Will you be doing Power Tour West 2023? No, I will not be doing Power Tour West 2023. Aaron Bryant, what's your plan if nukes start flying? Well, that's why I live in a suburb of Nashville. I don't really worry about the nukes flying. I mean, other people have to worry about it. I don't really think I have to worry about it. We would be like the end of the. They would like the whoever's bombing us would have to have a grudge against, like, cows and corn. You know what I'm saying? I'm not really worried about it. Eon Dynamo. I'm fixing a botched restoration of a 73 Dodge Charger SE. Car was a wiring nightmare. They all are, I know. Have everything sorted out except the power windows. What's the typical power source for the power windows? Right off the fuse box. It's right off the fuse box, and there should be a breaker in there. Let's see. Aaron Bryan, no supplies for months, etc. Oh, bro, I'm so prepped out. It's not even funny. We've got, yeah. I don't worry about that. That I can live for a year with nothing. So yeah, no problem. Abel D, would you be using 20-pound propane tanks on the mule? Yeah, I've got 3 of them. Hoarders will have their day. It's true. Aaron Bryan, glad to hear. I'd like to hear more stuff on your channel about prepper stuff. You know, I've touched on it. I've touched on mechanically prepping, and I really should do more videos on that in the future. But I don't really. I'm not that channel. I'm not a prepper channel. There are some really good prepper channels out there. I'm not one of them. I've done videos on mechanical prepping, and I've done some videos on the monetary end of things. Not I've included the monetary end of things in some videos, but that's not my audience. That's not where. So what I try to do is I try to drop useful ideas, but I'm not one of those shit hits the fan people, right? Teotwaki. So we've talked about reliable, sustainable cars, stuff that'll survive EMP, solar flares. I think I talked about Faraday cages at one point. I definitely talked about precious metals, but I can't go too far into all of that because that's not what we do. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I was prepped 25 years ago. So I've been sitting around for the last 25 years waiting for the shit to hit the fan. Zero, boss. Parts shortage. We sent parts to Seattle, Oregon, New Jersey, Texas, plus all over California. Apparently, we got what folks need. It might work in Anaheim, California. So you're saying that there's no parts shortage on your end? Zero. Um, Uncle Bandix, bring out the inner prepper warlord. Tony should start smoking cigars. I, I tell Kathy all the time, right? That's my when it all goes down, I'm going to assume the title warlord. I'm going to be the warlord of Murfreesboro. I'm ready. I'm ready. Bring it. Most people, honestly, I swear to God, right? Most people are like, "Oh my God, World War III. It's the apocalypse. I'm seeing it collapse and everything." And I'm like, "Bring it, come on, I'm waiting. Get it to me before it's too late." Uh, let's see. Uncle Bandix, in 20 years, we'll be buying V8s from dodgy guy in a back alley hiding from authorities. Aaron Bryant, I can't wait until I can say bring it another year at least. Oh, bro, you better hurry up. You better hurry up. The weird is getting weirder by the minute. You know what I'm saying? I would hurry up if I were you. Not in a panicky way, right? But get your stuff together now. You know what I mean? Get your stuff together now. Dennis Gillenwater, was there ever a crossarm intake for an LA small block? Edelbrock made one, and they're actually very desirable intake manifold, and it's more or less a copy of the Chevy, the 302, the Z28 motor, Edelbrock made a Chrysler version of that Chevy intake manifold. So, and they didn't make many of them. When they pop up for sale, I've always wanted one, I'm always a day late and a dollar short. They go for in the neighborhood like $2,500 when they do pop up. I can't remember the name of it. It's Edelbrock STR something. I don't remember, but it's a really cool intake manifold. Mr. Green Thumb Ottawa, is it me or are zombies everywhere nowadays? Yes. No, it's not you. This is the zombie apocalypse. You're living through it. This is the zombie apocalypse. It's hard to explain to a lot of people, because a lot of stuff is in metaphor. But yeah, this is it. End of time. If stuff goes down, I always have my mini bike. Yeah, I've got a couple of them. Doug's Maintenance Shop. I feel if us car guys don't do some selective parts hoarding for the sake of the hobby will one day be rich guys only with billet aluminum CNC engines. I believe it's going to go the other way, bro. I don't think those billet aluminum CNC engines. I don't think that high-end stuff really has much of a future in the immediate future. I mean, maybe someday, way down the road, after we're long gone and forgotten about, maybe that end of it will come back. But I believe that the higher end aspects of our culture are kind of doomed. The grassroots guys, people who built stuff in their garages and their barns and their backyards and carports, they're going to do just fine. No shortage of material for them, no shortage of ambition and fun. Okay, but the guys who just piss money, no, their days are coming to an end really quick. Murder Nova, hey Tony, any updates on Brother Steve? I have not heard anything in the last couple of weeks. The last I heard things, he was doing better, far from out of the woods. It's going to be a while. It's going to be a good long while before he's back to to being his functional self. But the last I heard, and haven't heard anything to contradict this, is that he's on the right track. Things are moving forward. Rusty Fuel, thank you for the super chat. 1974 A-Buddy, factory disc brake versus drum brake. I live in the mountains. If you live in the mountains, you're probably better off with the discs, because there's no question about that. And the fact that it's because of the fact you live in the mountains, because long down hills, dragging the front drum brakes, they will get hot, they will get glazed. So in your case, yeah, I would say you're probably better off with the disc brakes. Also remember 1974 A-Body, if it has disc brakes, they're 9-inch. They did away with the 10-inch drum brakes. Did I say it right the first time? Your 1974 car, A-Body, if it has drums, they're 9-inch drums. They look like 10-inch drums. They're big on the outside. They got a lot of fins, right? But they're actually 9-inch. So yeah, I would make a disc swap on that car. Let's see. Wayne Buzzle, if you ever seen someone on Flacca, then you know the zombie apocalypse is here. That's just part of it, bro. That's just part of it. That's just part of it. It's the zombie apocalypse is the good portion of the population that has been mentally compromised, mentally damaged, mentally compromised by the machine, and they carry a lot of weight. And that is the zombie apocalypse. And who are they after? Who is their enemy? People who think. So if you go through the whole, brains, I'm gonna eat your brains, right? The zombie thing. It's exactly what it is. It's the fact that a good half or even more percentage of our population is damaged. Through many different mechanisms. Through the education system, through medicines, through vaccines, through all kinds of things. They're damaged. They don't have the ability to think clearly, and they get triggered by logic. So that is the zombie apocalypse, and we're in the middle of it right now. JH, any reason to avoid larger full-size 60s cars for daily driving? In reference to your daily driver video, my 2015 Nissan took a dump, and the $5,000 to fix is more than the car is worth. No, full car. Okay, full-size 60s cars are good choices. They're solid cars. Okay, comfortable. They're really. I mean, they're beautiful. They're comfortable. They're so nice, right? And really, across the board, they all of the manufacturers built beautiful full-size cars in the 60s. My point was to stay away from the higher end models. Stay away from for daily driver purposes. Stay away from Lincolns, Cadillacs. Stay away from Imperials. Um, stay away from the cars that were loaded with the tech of the day, because they have very complicated systems. But if you're talking about like a full-size Chevy Impala or a Plymouth Fury or a Ford Galaxy, just the regular model of it, well, they're great. They're great cars. Um, Brian Power, the zombie apocalypse is not quite what Romero envisioned. No, no. He had a good zombie movie, but no. Predictive programming. You had that whole period of time in the 19, the late 90s, the early 2000s, the zombie movies. Everything was a zombie town, zombie city, zombie. Predictive programming. Uh, Eric Catfish Mafia. Anyone know if there is a difference between disc and or drum brake proportioning valves? Yes. Okay, on a drum brake car, it's not called a proportion valve. It's actually a balance valve, right? A proportioning valve is for disc drum setup. So on a drum brake car, the pressure to the individual wheels is done through the bore of the wheel cylinder. The front wheel cylinders have a different bore than the back wheel cylinders. So they have just a balancing valve, right? It's a simple valve that just directs brake fluid to the different portions of the car. And the diameter of the wheel cylinder does the job. But on a disc drum combination, you have two wildly different forms of braking. And so that's what the proportioning valve does. It proportions the right pressure to the front and to the back. Pressure differential valve. Um, Able D, Tony, can spark plugs be cleaned up and revived in a Cuban-esque environment? Yes, we did a video on cleaning spark plugs with the MAP gas torch. It works perfectly. Um, Random guy, do you think a 55 Ford Fairlane 500 power top converter would be a good daily driver? No, no, for a couple of reasons. First, it's geared as it's going to have like a 350, 360 gear set in it. So I mean, you can always change the gears um, to make it more suitable for highway use. Um, the convertible top is a liability. Um, yeah, see, there's a lot of stuff from 50s cars, like let's say like master cylinders and things like that you're not going to be able to just get quick from an auto parts store, or let's say off a thing like Rock Auto. Um, I wouldn't recommend it as a daily driver. That's a great collector car. It's a great cars and coffee car. It's a great Sunday afternoon car, but it's not a great daily driver. And what's the aftermarket support for that too? So, you're sitting in traffic and somebody rear ends you, right? How easily can you get a bumper for that car? How easily can you get taillights for that car? Can you get a trunk lid for that car? See what I'm saying? You have to take those things into consideration. And that's why I say stick with cars that are the lesser cousins of high performance versions. Because if you're out in your 68 Belvedere, let's say, and somebody rear ends you, Well, the aftermarket's got you covered with bumpers and taillights and bezels and trunk lid and everything else. No problem. That stuff is available. When you get into like a 55 Ford, you don't have that. You don't have that kind of aftermarket support for it. Um, okay. Danny Boy, daily driver if you have an easy, not crowded commute. Well, the point of a daily driver isn't just to commute. The point of a daily driver is it's your daily driver. So it's going to be your commute car. It's going to be your taking the kids to the sports ball game car. It's going to be your, running to Home Depot car. And see what I'm saying? It's going to be your daily driver, not just a commuter. So yeah, as a commuter, if you're only going to go to and from work with it, yeah, 55 Ford is fine. But if it's going to be the daily driver that you don't give any consideration to its use, that's the whole point of having a daily driver. The daily driver is you don't think about it. It's raining, drive it. It's snowing, drive it. You have to go 3 states cross country, drive it. Right? You see what I'm saying? That's the difference. Your cousin needs to borrow a car for an hour, throw him the keys. That's the difference between a daily driver and a collector car. Does that make any sense? Jason K. Hey, Tony, what are your thoughts about how new pickups have gotten ridiculously bigger in recent years? Like a new Ranger is bigger than my dad's '07 Silverado. I am going to do, listen, I have a whole line of stuff exactly on that. Exactly on that. I'll show you a picture. Okay, so it's funny that you bring it up. I'm going to show you a picture that I saved. I have to find it. Give me a minute. I'm terrible with this stuff. Oh, that was easy. Chevy pickups. Can you guys read that? The same make, same model, same color, 30 years apart. Okay? I'm already on it. I'm already on it. Ari, what's happening? You're late, Ari. You're late. Um, no, Dina, cannibalism is not good. Um, Bloated and overpriced. You got that right. All right. Jin Alex Zialong. I'm sorry if I murdered your name. Forgive me for that. I have a 71 Dodge Dart Slinger with a slant 6, super practical and has been extremely dependable for the past decade. I have a 72. I have a 72 Swinger that's one of our dailies, and yeah, it's a perfect daily driver. Doug's Maintenance Shop. I bought a square body S10 for a hot rod project where I won't worry too much about dents, dings, and whatnot, and go have some fun with it. Heck, might throw a fiberglass release kit on it. That could be pretty cool. Mike Nagatini, when are they going to resolve the UAW strike? I don't know, but honestly, there's more to that. There's more to that than meets the eye, and that's all I want to say about that. But there's more to that whole strike than meets the eye. There's a thing happening. It appears to me it's a deliberate takedown of the American-based manufacturers. John Connett, I hear the word survivor car thrown around a lot. Can you please elaborate? A survivor, okay, by a lot of standards, a survivor is the highest quality collector car that you can find. When I say the highest quality, it means that 90% of the car, the vast majority of the car, is in its original state. So in other words, like the paint, it's got original paint, it's got the original interior, it's got the original engine, it's got the original transmission, the original rear end, it's got the original. The 90% of the car is still as it came from the factory. That's what's considered to be a survivor. And a good quality survivor is worth more, is a higher value than a complete restoration because the car is only original once. So, and you have different degrees of survivor, so it's a term that gets thrown around a lot, but survivor for the most part just means an unrestored car, something that's as it came from the factory. Speed Demon, kit cars are the future and the past. I agree. Um, Zero, mine has all its original asbestos. Still has the original brake shoes on it. Uh, Kevin Clancy, hi Tony, I'm doing a C6 Ford transmission rebuild. Thanks to your video, it gave me the confidence to give it a try. Good luck with that. Watch videos and get your hands on the service manual. Service manual is really important because that'll give you all of the clearances, the internal clearances, like the clutch packs that you have to check, and they're all a little bit different. So the service manual, that information is super, super important. But again, watch a couple of videos, watch a couple of teardowns, and I'll tell you what. I haven't seen him tonight, but Andy from Unity Motorsports Garage would know those transmissions like the back of his hand. So you might want to, if you run into a problem, you may want to throw him a message. All right. The dealer manuals are the best investment. Absolutely, absolutely. When you're dealing with one of these older cars, the service manual is you need it. You need a service manual to really understand the car. You need the service manual. Let's see. Random guy. The problem with a Survivor is if you plan on driving it, you'll have to change parts to make it safe and run correctly, interior parts as well. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. But he didn't ask if a Survivor was a good daily driver. He just asked what a Survivor was. Dean Stevens, I thought Ford Thermite transmission blew up. Well, those things run so hot. The C6s, they run so, you got to light a cigarette off of a freaking C6. Barry Gregg, the old blood mechanics will have their day in the sun. I could not agree more. All right, guys, we're coming to the end here. Man, I've talked a lot. Usually I got Kiwi here to bounce stuff off of, but I mean, yapping for 2 hours without a break. I gotta call it. I actually hear my voice starting to go away. So I am gonna pull the plug. So, oh, Kevin, thank you so much. I appreciate the super chat. And everybody who contributed with super chats, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. All this crap runs on the money that comes in through YouTube, and you guys help keep it all going. And I am so grateful. You have no idea. I'm grateful for all of you, not just the ones that throw super chat, but just all of you, even the trolls. You know what I mean? Thank you all. So everybody contribute super chat. Thank you so much. Everybody contribute your presence and your conversation. Thank you equally. Our awesome mods. Zero's been here the whole night. Ari just popped in. I don't think I saw Fubar tonight. But either way, our awesome mods. Thank you guys so much as always. Kiwi will be back next Wednesday night. We'll have our regular Sunday night show at the house. And I can't think of anything else I want to talk about. Keep your fingers crossed. Keep your fingers crossed. I got a dog sitter. And the weather looks good, so it looks like we're going to be running Slaghammer on Saturday. I hope. I've been trying to get this car to the track now for months. So with any luck, we'll get that out to the track this coming Saturday. And in 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, we'll be running Bottle Rocket before the end of the year. And I'm going to go full send on Bottle Rocket. I know what it did. Right now, we're going to see what it's going to do. We're going to try to throw the crank on the ground on Bottle Rocket and see what happens. So that's it, guys. Thank you all for joining us. And there you go. I'm out of here. Good night, all.